everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. So today is the video for Wednesday, September 23rd. And I have quite a bit to talk about today. So I did update our Blackboard page and I would like to sort of talk about that just for a moment. And I did update our syllabus and course schedule, which you can find right here and take a look at. And I also added a link about making appointments with the Learning Center. So if you need any further help with the first, second, or third paper, you can always click on this link, and this will take you to directions on how to make an appointment with the Learning Center to get online tutoring and help with your papers. And then it will show you how to make an appointment through Starfish. I also put up some links for technology help. So under technology help, which I put down here, I put up a few LinkedIn learning courses, and basically what this is that it's basically videos and it shows you how to do stuff on Google Drive, and it also shows you how to do stuff in the programs. And these free courses are available to GCC students for free at any time. And these essential course trainings, it shows you how to do basically everything that you need to know for Google Drive, and also other programs that we're working with like Google Docs, Google Websites, and Blackboard. In fact, I really liked the course for Google Websites, and basically it shows you how to do things like how to make a Google website, how to add images to your Google website, and also how to embed like files and links into your website. And most of these videos are about 2 or 3 minutes long, so if you need help with something in particular, they can show you how to do these things. They even have a LinkedIn Learning course for Blackboard, and all you do is sign in with your GCC essentials, like your sign on and password. Shows you how to do things in Blackboard, like how to post to discussion boards, how to attach files, how to upload files, and also how to view grades. They even have one for Google Docs as well. So if you ever need technology help, these LinkedIn Learning courses are free to you at any time, and you're welcome to access them if you need help with anything. But anyway, I kind of want to get rolling into what we're going to be doing today. But first, I do want to talk about how to upload files to our Dropbox. And keep in mind that the final draft of the DCA is due tonight by midnight on Blackboard in that Dropbox. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's take a look at our course schedule. So today is September 23rd. So here's what we're doing today is turning in the final draft of the DCA. We're going to start essay number 2, pre-write and discussion. And we're also, for homework for this weekend, we're going to be reading chapter 10 from our textbook, and I have a reading response number 4 that will be due on Monday by noon. And we're also going to be doing a class activity together for annotating an article for paper 2, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about turning in the final draft of the DCA by midnight via the Dropbox on Blackboard. So that's all stuff that we'll be working on this weekend as well. But keep in mind the final draft is due tonight by midnight. So I will show you all how to turn in a file via the Dropbox. So all you do is go under the Dropbox and go under the DCA final draft Dropbox. And keep in mind, you do have to check mark, I agree to submit my paper to the Global Reference Database. And all that tool is to check for plagiarism for student papers. So you have to check mark that, otherwise it won't upload. So let's say you have a Google document link. All you would do is click on Write Submission, and you're going to copy and paste your Google Doc link into the box. And there is also a way to download your Google Doc and actually download it as a Google document and also as a Word document. So what you do is go into your Google Doc, and this is my sample Google Doc that I actually used for the DCA the other day for peer review. This was a paper that a previous student wrote that I asked if I could use as a sort of sample paper. So basically what you do if you need to share that link is go to share. Anyone on the internet can comment, and you copy that link. So if you want to submit it that way, that would be fine. But if you want to download your Google document as a Word document and submit it that way, all you do is go under File, Download, Microsoft Word, which is the DOCX extension. And then what you're going to do is go to Save. And it goes into your Downloads folder. So then from there, if I wanted to submit it as a Word document, then I would go into Browse My Computer. I would go into my Downloads folder, and I would submit that file that I just downloaded. And then from there, all you do is hit Submit. And that's how you submit a Google Doc as a Word document. And keep in mind, there are also other ways that you can download the file. You can download the file as a PDF or as a Microsoft Word document. Both are perfectly acceptable. Or if you just want to submit the Google document link, that's fine too. And as you can see, it will upload into the Dropbox. So anyway, taking it from there, I would like to start talking about the second paper. And I'm going to do a lesson today, actually. So I just talked about how to turn in the final draft of the DCA and how to upload it into the Dropbox, so I did cover those things. But first, let's talk about the homework real quick. So for the homework, you should read chapter 10 and do reading response number 4 by Monday at noon. And as always, you can find the reading responses under discussion boards. And the reading response number 4 is right here. So that's the first thing that you should be doing for homework. And then the second thing is going to be annotating an article for paper number 2, but I will cover that in the lesson today. So first, I would like to start talking about essay number 2, pre-writing and discussion. And I did put up the guidelines, so I would like to talk about those too. So under paper guidelines and materials, I have uploaded the essay number 2, the rhetorical analysis, or essay number 2, or what the English department likes to call it, the RA for short. So let's talk about the RA guidelines. So the assignment overview is for your discourse community analysis. You apply rhetorical concepts to your past experiences in order to explain how you joined a community. Anytime we attempt to join an established group, we usually begin just by listening. Listening helps us recognize the backgrounds of the participants, the common topics of conversation, the values of the group, etc. To put it another way, your own experiences are far more effective when you carefully attend what they say before we make our own contribution to any given conversation. So for this paper, you will apply critical reading skills as a way of listening to a writer engaged in a conversation you're not yet familiar with. Imagine you're volunteering as a guest assistant editor for your JCC Student Club's new monthly e-newsletter on current issues. The club's faculty advisor has asked you to offer your recommendation for or against a particular article. So basically, you're going to be making a recommendation about this article from the New York Times. You'll evaluate the article below based on these criteria and make your recommendation for or against the publication accordingly. In other words, you'll answer this question: is the argument within this newspaper article effective? And of course, you'll back it up with evidence, reasons, and that is something we'll be doing throughout the whole course. So I chose this article, There Is No Tech Backlash, and here's the link to it, but I also have a free version of it if you can't get through to the New York Times website. But first, let's just talk about what you should be thinking about. So you already know the situation. So as always, you should include a claim, the subpoints and reasons, and of course the evidence. So in terms of the article, you'll be analyzing and annotating and taking notes on the article. That's our homework for this weekend. And again, the homework for this weekend will be a group project for the whole class. This is something that we'll be doing together throughout the weekend. But in terms of the paper, we're going to be thinking about how did the writer establish ethos or credibility within the paper or within the article. Same thing for logos. How did he establish logical appeal? And how did he establish pathos appeal? And of course, other things you should be thinking about is organization and style. So the main purpose of this paper is to analyze another's argument. Your club is not overly concerned whether you find the author's argument interesting because you're only one of many employees who might read this text. Your personal response may be relevant, but only to the extent of your response as part of an analysis of the composition. That includes examination of an author's use of ethical, pathetic, and logical appeal. So this essay is not, the second paper is not full narrative. This is an academic writing style type paper. So you should not use I too much within the rhetorical analysis. It's more of a formal academic style, more formal overview. So it should be about 900 to 1200 words in Times New Roman 12-point font with MLA headings. So as far as your portfolio goes for the second paper, I'll show you how to take images of your annotated text. And you should, of course, as always, for all the papers, have an early draft and maybe a peer review or work with a Learning Center tutor, a final revised draft, and a final reflection letter. I will talk more about reflection letters on Monday within our next Zoom meeting. And here is a rubric for the paper. Now keep in mind the rubric is more of a just sort of additional grading tool that I'll sort of look at when I'm grading. But of course, it's the same thing, like, you know, having an intro, a thesis, reason, subpoints, logos, ethos, pathos, and citations, or formatting, and conclusion. I also have a sample paper in here from a previous student of mine, and I did ask to use it as a sample paper for future Comp 1 courses. So here's basically what the second paper is so this particular paper analyzes the article by Rob Walker, which is the article we'll be reading. And feel free to take a look at that. Honestly, she did a great job with like analyzing and synthesizing. So that's why I like that paper so much. Anyway, here is the No Tech Backlash article. And I made it into a Google document. So the article itself is about 4 or 5 pages long. And I also gave you the link to the article, the citation, and how to include in-text citations. But again, we'll talk about citations on Monday. I'm just showing you all like the materials we're going to be working with for the next 3 weeks. So anyway, this is the article. It's not very long. It's about 5 pages. But here's the important part that we're going to be working on. This annotation activity is for this weekend's homework. So this is what we're going to be working on together, and I'll show you all a sort of overview of a program called Hypothesis. And what Hypothesis allows a class to do is examine a article together in a class setting or a group setting. So this is pretty cool. All you do to get started on the homework is click on that link, and it will take you directly to this document. And this is the article. So basically what annotations are, it's a reading technique that you can use. And I'll talk about some strategies and that kind of thing. But you can also highlight things within the article, which is pretty cool. So let's take a look a little bit at this article together. Right now, I would like to try to identify the thesis statement. So let's just read the first couple of paragraphs together here. It's fun and increasingly fashionable to complain about technology. Our own devices distract us, others' devices spy on us, social media companies poison public discourse, new wired objects violate our privacy, and all of this contributes to a general sense of a runaway change, creating beyond our control. No wonder there's a tech backlash. But really, is there? Certainly there has been talk of a backlash for a couple of years now. Politicians have discussed regulating big companies more tightly. Fines have been issued, breakups called for. A tech press, once dedicated almost exclusively to gadget lust and organizing conferences that trot our tech lords for the rest of us to worship, has taken on a more critical tone. A drumbeat of exposés reveal ethically and legally devious corporate behavior. Novels and movies paint a skeptical or even dystopian picture of where tech is taking us. We all know people who have theoretically quit this or that of social media service or announced digital sabbaticals, and of course everybody kvetches all the time. However, there is the matter of actual behavior in the real world marketplace. The evidence there suggests that in fact we love our devices as much as ever. There is no tech backlash. So that is actually the thesis statement right there. So if I want to highlight something, all you do is drag the mouse over it and you click highlight. And then it will make this little note here. And then what you do if you want to edit or make comments on that annotation. So let's see. Here is Walker's main thesis statement and argument. He claims that there is no tech backlash because humanity is highly attached to our electronic devices, despite there being many issues like concerns about privacy and security, monopolies in tech companies, and concerns about relying on tech too much. So that's an annotation that I just made there. So all it really is taking notes on this article and sort of pointing out, okay, where's the thesis statement? And what sort of important details are there within the ethos, logos, and the pathos of this article? So then what you do is post it to our class. That's our class section right there. So I will add new hashtags, maybe like introduction, thesis statement, so basically that's all you can. So then it will also post that annotation, and you all will be able to view that if you click on it, and you will see that annotation right there. And keep in mind, our annotations will be contributed by the whole class. So if you want to add in your comments, you're more than perfectly welcome to do so. And you don't necessarily have to highlight either. If you want to turn off or turn on the highlights, you can just click this little button right here. Now, if you want to create a note outside of highlighting, you just hit create new note page, and then you can type in your notes right on the page here. So that's what hypothesis is used for. And it also shows you help, like how to create an annotation. You can select text and click the annotate button. You can create a highlight button. Or if you want to reply to an annotation on another student's thoughts, you can do it that way too. But it's just a nice introduction to sort of know how to do like annotations and that kind of thing. So that is for the homework. So you should be working on the no tech backlash annotation activity. And you should also be working on reading response number 4. Anyway, the last thing I would like to do for today is go over the lesson for today, which is introducing the rhetorical analysis, lesson number 7. Okay, so items for today, I'll be defining rhetorical analysis, what's rhetorical analysis got to do with it, and what is annotation. So rhetorical analysis, what is it? So what it is not. A rhetorical analysis is not a summary of a literary work or scholarly article. You may have analyzed a novel's plotline or taken apart the meaning of Shakespeare to be or not to be in Hamlet before. However, trying to understand the meaning of a work or summarize a story is not the goal of rhetorical analysis. Summary is sort of an additional tool you can use within a rhetorical analysis, but it's not the main goal or concern. So what it is, a rhetorical analysis requires you to reply to your critical reading skills in order to break down a text. So in essence, you break off the parts of the whole of the piece you're analyzing. The goal of a rhetorical analysis is to articulate how the author writes rather than what they actually wrote. To do this, you will analyze the strategies the author uses to achieve his or her goal or purpose of writing within their piece. Okay, so what's rhetorical analysis got to do with it? So what does rhetorical analysis got to do with you or your life or your career goals? So employers say that when hiring, they place the greatest value on demonstrated proficiency and skills and knowledge that cut across all majors. The learning outcomes they rate as most important include written and oral communication skills, teamwork skills, ethical decision making, critical thinking, and the ability to apply knowledge in real world settings. So what it has to do with you, no matter what major you're in, is rhetorical analysis is a great way to apply oral communication skills, writing skills, the ability to evaluate a text that's put in front of you. So again, what does it have to do with you? So in the regional skills assessment, overall basic skills of active listening, reading comprehension, and critical thinking are most important and require the highest level of functioning for hard-to-fill occupations. So employers in our region have difficulty finding qualified people to hire for those hard-to-fill living wage paying occupations. So in terms of analyzing pathos, pathos represents an appeal to the emotions of the audience. Pathos relies on the values of any given audience. The composer, author, will use imagery, emotion, style, nuance to convey meaning via a pathos appeal. So when you're analyzing a text in terms of pathos, what you want to consider is who do you think is the intended audience for the text? What do you know about them? What kinds of values does the audience have? What do they care about? Are there moments where you see the author trying to draw on the emotions or feelings of the audience? And then what you want to think about is providing 2 examples of places where you think the author either appeals to the values of the intended audience or invokes feelings through imagery. Sometimes authors speak directly about emotions. Look for places where you might feel something. Maybe concern, caring, or appeals to human values in general, like human rights, religious freedom, equality, or even children. Okay, so for ethos, ethos is an appeal to ethics, and it is a means of convincing someone the character or credibility of the persuader. An author will prove their reasons true with the use of experts. Consider, does the author establish their authority to speak? What establishes this person as one with the appropriate level of ethos to be speaking here? So here's a hint that you want to be thinking about. Consider the publication venue as well as the individual author. As a last resort, consider the level of expertise that seems to be present within the writing themselves. Within the writing itself, do they seem knowledgeable and how? And lastly, analyzing logos. Logos is an appeal to logic, rationality, and reasoning. This means we need to search for the claim and some reasons the author offers to the reader. So what you want to be considering about is there a claim and what is it? What are the reasons given? Ask yourself, is this rational? Are there exceptions and what are they? Does the author provide adequate evidence to support reasons given? Is this argument similar to or different from similar or parallel arguments? So here's a claim. People should donate organs because it saves lives. So the logical assumption from there, people should do things that save lives. But is that always? But are there exceptions to that? And lastly, what is annotation? Annotation is a strategy of active reading. It means that while reading a text, you add notes to it, make comments, explanations, opinions, questions, or associations. The skill of annotation may take some practice, but offers a better understanding of complicated materials and helps easily and quickly to find important information when reviewing. While making notes, you become familiar not only with the content of an article, but also with its organization. So a properly annotated article accomplishes the following: clearly identifies the location of important information, expresses all main ideas, traces how the arguments or ideas develop throughout the text, and introduces reactions and thoughts of what you might be thinking when reading the article. And I have a link right here of how to annotate an article, which I would like everyone to take a look at. It's about a 5-minute read, and it explains annotations, how to do it effectively, like through underlining and highlighting, or summarizing and paraphrasing key ideas, and doing maybe in sort of responsive outline, and responses and comments you might have. So that's what we're going to be doing within that annotation activity. So how to annotate articles online. So how to annotate articles online, it can be done very simply through things like a Word document or a PDF. But in our case, we're going to be using Hypothesis. So basically what you should do is read through the text once and then read it again and then make written notes or choose an online tool to help you. So in that case, we'll be using Hypothesis together. And you want to highlight keywords and ideas, maybe paraphrase them, work with each separate part of the text, and add personal comments. Also, if you need further guidance on how to annotate or how to analyze a text, there is a chapter within our textbook that is within the table of contents that shows how to use reading strategies and that kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure we already read that chapter for one of our discussion boards. But if you need to look back at the textbook, feel free. So anyway, I have talked about how to turn in the DCA. I have talked about the essay number 2 guidelines and discussion and what you should be doing in terms of homework for this weekend, and how to turn in the final draft of the DCA via the Dropbox. That is it for today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great weekend. And I will have office hours on Friday, so if you want to stop in, you can, of course, go under the virtual office hours tab and click on the Zoom link. I have Zoom office hours on Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. That is it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Thank you so much.